Samoa, and welcome to Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 7, where I really wasn't expecting to say it after the rest of this season, after last episode in particular, but where today I do believe we are about to discuss the best episode of television I have seen all week. Granted, that's a list of 3, but yeah, no, this was a good one. I was better than the other 2 Doctor Who episodes we just got. Tease, Doctor Who is tomorrow. But personally, I'm a big fan of that fourth wall. I believe in its structural integrity, and I think any windows should be like police interrogation windows, where I can see in and they can't see out. So, and that's what did it for me. But no, this episode, it was really good. In classic Discovery style, I don't know how long I can talk about how it was really good, but I can probably nitpick it for a good 20 minutes. I think it took a while to get the ball going, but once it did, I really liked, the tension with Old Breed and the Federation, that standoff. I wasn't feeling the tension totally for a lot of it. I mean, it was good. I wasn't enjoying it. But then when Locke died, I think it really kicked into high gear. Or no, even just that negotiation scene, it really kicked it. But when Locke died, that was a big development for the story. And, I think probably for the first time in this season, I was actually super engaged and gripped with the overarching story of, this has ramifications for the universe. This is a big deal, and I was super gripped. And I kind of wish that it had ended a little bit earlier than it did. I kind of wish it had left when the Breen was like, you have 5 minutes. I guess that would make for a really underwhelming start to the next episode. Because it almost feels a little bit like, I'm worried we'll just get a return to the formula, where now we gotta go find this new thing, and the Breen aren't really gonna matter. But, I would have liked to sit on that a little more, just that stakes, but still, I like the big shift. I like that now there's actually a serious tension. There's arguably more of an actual threat, because I can accept that whatever, though, progenitor threat tech is a big, massive threat for the point of story, but I still, I don't, it's not, though, right? It's not. I'm just trying to get a frame up, because I'm actually pretty close. Here we go. So you're telling me that this thing, This thing right here needs genetic engineering technology to wipe out the Federation. If that thing turned a bit to its right and then activated its impulse engines, it would destroy Federation HQ. If it went a bit lower, it would also take out Discovery and the Enterprise. Like, that thing does not need genetic engineering technology to take out the Federation. That thing could literally eat headquarters. But, you know, now this thing is actually the threat. It's not really the nebulous, somehow genetic engineering technology is going to destroy the galaxy, even though we already have it. It's that thing right there. I've just realized those ships are probably supposed to be closer to the camera than HQ, aren't they? Because, you know what, let's talk about this scene first. Because, first off, ooh, new 32nd century ship just dropped. We get some better views. I don't like that it appears to have 4 nacelles. I've never been a huge fan of that. But, look, we get more. More of my favorite era. Are they already running out of ideas? Multi-nacelle guy? But yeah, that'll be interesting. It kind of looked a bit sovereign-y from the top. You know what? Actually, I bet that's like a stargazer. Yeah, I want to see the top view. I'll find it. It's the shot when it warps in that you can see it from a different angle. I bet this is a 32nd century stargazer, which is not a design we've had before, I believe. I've praised Star Trek a lot for being a small-scale sci-fi. So what I mean by that is, let's look at Star Wars, which is big-scale sci-fi, but actually, like, on the smaller end. Your Death Star is a moon. Your Death Star is a small moon. And you have ships, like the Super Star Destroyer, that are bigger than the Death Star. Like, your Star Destroyer is massive. You can get these, like, sci-fi ship comparisons charts, and you'll see, like, a small Borg cube and a small whale probe, and, like, everything else. Star Trek is teeny tiny compared to other sci-fis that tend to go, like, this whole planet is a starship, or this starship is the size of a planet, like Enterprise J stuff. Star Trek does have big-scale sci-fi. The whale probe, a bit ridiculous. The Borg cube shows up on the charts, but it is relatively small for those. The Voth City ship might be the biggest one, I'm thinking. This is a big one now. This is one of the big boys. And I think as long as you do it rare enough and in the right context, and don't go, like, too crazy ridiculous, it works. Because this Dreadnought thing, I take is, like, I mean, it's basically your Super Star Destroyer, right? It's Darth Vader's, it's the Emperor's personal craft that's clearly, in times of trouble, you don't mess with this. It's got a massive hangar bay. This works for me. I like it. I think it establishes the threat very well, and I can see the Breen having it. The question does arise, why don't the Breen use this to just take over the universe? And I go, there's probably not that many. And, like, yeah, this one's bad. But even then, like, Discovery could probably fly in that hangar bay. Like, you could take it down. It's just gonna do damage, and the Breen are a little preoccupied with, like, blowing each other up. So, yeah. Only complaint about this shot is that they've massively scaled down Federation HQ. I feel like it should be bigger, and that it was bigger, because I think those ships are supposed to be in line with the Federation HQ. But my favorite detail about this ship, that I'm sure if I were to go to Reddit, a lot of people would complain, is when it warps away, come on, it moves everything around it, just kind of ripples away like it was in water, which is like, I take it as it displaces, like, subspace so much, all the other ships are like, vroom. I absolutely love that as a power move. It's like, yeah, this thing's big. As long as we don't do it too often, you can throw in your big, massive Breen Dreadnought. And if you think about it, like, 900 years of development, if the Breen have been aggressive and militaristic for that long, the Breen are gonna build their own Borg cube at some point, you know? I didn't even see those ships. I didn't even see those ships, so they were displaced. And also, this is beautiful. As unrealistic a shot as this is, it looks very good. Should we go and do the normal scene by scene? That's just the one I like to sit on. Yeah, I mean, the first half was just kind of like serviceable. It was working. It was doing what it had to do. So again, I don't know if I have too much to say. And it's Discovery. I don't really know what makes one show like super conversation heavy and what makes another not. But Discovery is always really hard to talk about. I think this is one of the reasons it's struggled, and one of the reasons it's never seemed big is like no one talks about Discovery, and even the people who are really into Discovery, I've had some run-ins with them, and they've been like, yeah, I mean, I love Discovery, but there's just nothing to talk about. It's a very weird one. I think if they released the whole season in one go, like you'd probably get more discussion. But you know what, actually, let's go. Let's check out Star Trek Reddit. Star Trek. Because if I were to go to Doctor Who Reddit, you know, there's a whole bunch of discussion about the 2 episodes that just aired. Star Trek Reddit, outside of the episode discussion thread, yeah, there's some Deep Space Nine stuff. It's nothing. It's generic. Someone talking about Picard. They just don't really talk about you don't talk about Discovery for some reason. And I got a text. Ooh. All right, this is gonna be a shorter thing. My mom now is having a free garage sale. Let's skip ahead. Let's see. What do we got? Not too much. We had Tilly show some concern for students. I just feel more. We've never seen the students. It's just almost a reminder that, like, hey, remember Tilly works at the academy, even though she's definitely not working at the academy right now. Yeah, not much. This one, again, it just was a lot of kind of weird stuff. Like, Book keeps arguing for why he should go in and see Maul. And even Burnham's like, he's been super helpful, you should go in and see Maul. But, like, you're not the Admiral. Neither of you have the authority to let Book go in and see Maul. Like, maybe ask the Admiral if Book can go in and see Maul. But it kind of felt like, yeah, Burnham, you're just trying to throw your weight around. You can't just do whatever you want. This is Vance territory now. You can't just override an Admiral. Oh, yeah, and we got this lady. What's her face? I don't remember the species. Benzonite? Was it Benzonite? Something like that. From Season 2 of Discovery. However, because she's from Season 2 of Discovery, I don't care about her. Because that was a bad season. But in terms of, like, the finale season, this is a good, again, like, accidentally, I see what they were saying. It's not a bad final send-off. The only regret, which actually I had to have this pointed out to me because I didn't consciously realize it, is we haven't seen Saru since, like, episode 3. And I was hoping we'd get a glimpse of him now. The Doug Jones is confirmed we will see more Saru before the end of the series, and I'm sure he's in that epilogue bit. In fact, I think he confirmed he's in the epilogue, which I am guessing is wrapping up the Saru and President Tarina, there we go. The Tarina storyline. Because he's not really in this season, because he was doing promotional stuff for Hocus Pocus 2. So they basically let him, like, they worked around that schedule, and that's kind of why they sent him off of the ship. But it really sucks, because that, as I said before, that was, like, the most engaging storyline for the first four or five episodes, and now it's just gone. It's not there, which is disappointing. So hopefully the epilogue does really well. I mean, it's not the worst thing. It's not like Enterprise getting canceled where you just don't get the Earth-Romulan War, because they're getting married, you know? It's like, that's kind of is the happily ever after. I just would have been nice to watch it and see some of that stuff. And we're just not going to. Or at least I doubt we're doing. Not like we would have had the show not gotten canceled. Yeah, I really don't have too much to say. I'm probably gonna skip ahead a lot to the later section. I mean, we're getting some, like, Star Trek-y conference scenes, which is nice. I do like the planning. It was weird. This whole first part of the episode is like, why the heck are they so obsessed with Locke? Why do they want Locke so much? It's a weird choice to have told us why they want Locke, because that whole flashback scene when we saw Maul and Locke meeting, I said before, I felt this was like the one time you actually could have told, not shown, and it would have worked better, because we didn't really need to see all of that. And if you cut that, if you just set up that mystery, it'd be like the Breen really want Locke, why? And let the audience not know and learn here, I think it really would have strengthened this episode. Like, because we're just watching the characters sit around trying to work out a mystery we already know the answer to. And they're not even really working it out. They're just asking, like, I don't understand. What could it be? And it's like, well, I know. What am I supposed to get out of this? Because I already know. There's no mystery. And at least they don't hang it around too much. I think it's like 20 minutes. It's like here where Burnham works it out. I did like their resolution, though. I do like the bluff scene, which we might even just be skipping ahead to, because, again, really not a lot in this early episodes. Oh, yeah, it felt weird. Has this happened yet? Oh, no, they're about to meet Reno. Shoutouts to Adira, who I've now decided I hate. This scene was literally, like, the first time, potentially outside Season 3, they didn't, like, stumble over themselves and just did their job. Still kind of like a... This was good. This was good, nervous ensign energy. Like, she didn't stumble over her sentences. She did her job. She was coming up with ideas because she is competent. Oh my gosh, I'm doing it again. I don't know why. I am sorry. They're doing it... They're coming up with ideas, you know, they're doing their job well. You can kind of hear there's a bit of, like, I'm new at this in their voice. Brilliant. Ruined a lot by having to explicitly draw attention to that fact, because it was so painfully obvious, because you've done nothing with Adira for 2 seasons, other than have them be nervous and a wreck and stumbly. But hey, whoever said Discovery was subtle. But yeah, it's kind of moot because the show is getting canceled, but I do get the feeling if we were moving forward and doing more seasons, we'd get something closer to the Adira of Season 3 and the Adira that I'd like a lot more, that is still like Ezri. They're not quite sure themselves. They're still working out who they are and where their place is, but they're also a trained Starfleet officer and Earth Defense Force officer, and they are more competent than this. Did anyone else find it weird? I was wondering, like, Adira asked to search the Federation, like all of it, for someone who's an expert in antique books, because there might not be any. Then if there is, there's just gonna be like one, and evidently the most useful person is someone who was born 100 years before this book was written. A little weird. A little contrived. I realized even later, I thought books, we were going to have a resolution where Book was helpful because he was a courier. Maybe, like, he has some connections with people who'd be into that. I mean, when he met Burnham, didn't he know that, like, some people who'd be into 23rd century tech, you know, there's sort of the precedent for it. I thought that's how they were going to go. Because Book's not technically in the Federation. He didn't come up in the search. But yeah, no, we got Reno instead. I might have missed a line or misremembered, because this is something I realized at the end of the episode. Did Reno serve a drink called 7 of Lime 100 years before 7 of 9 was actually born? Because she was talking about jobs she did previously, didn't she? Funny as well, I had actually heard... I'd seen an article headline like Star Trek Discovery reveals true legacy of 7 of 9. So I knew there'd be something 7 of 9 in here, but I thought maybe she's got a ship. Maybe they talk about something she did, like, after Picard. Maybe. Nope, it's that there's a drink named after her, except it's probably not even named after her because it was named in the past, which makes it a really, really weird name for a drink. Like, that feels really forced. If it was just... If you did this now, it works. But I was like, hang on a minute. 7 of Lime. In the 23rd century? I really like Tarina in this. I love the move. It's later on, but where she speaks Breen, she's like, no, actually, this is the exact insulting thing he said. And everyone in the room, like... the little telltale, everything in the corner, it was like, everybody will remember that. Like, everybody in the room, from the Breen to the Federation to the security, just respected that. Even to the point of the Primarch going, you know what? Fair. I'll speak English. That was good. Tarina is really good. As I've said before, Tarina does Vulcan, and just like a character in general, as much as Strange New Worlds botches Vulcan and murders T'Lyn, or whatever her name. Not T'Lyn. Not T'Pol. Spock's wife lady. I don't know. Who cares? She's horrible. But no, brilliant. I hate how flickery this Breen hologram is. Look at that. He's 10 feet tall. We know he's a hologram. He flickered in. In the 80s, we understood that. Like, this is not a... We've been over this. It's just an annoying thing they do in the modern times. There's actually... It was kind of realized... It wasn't explicitly pointed to the audience, but I like the directions they're going, where there are a lot of similarities between Burnham and, Raynor. Burnham and Raynor. And we're revealing more and more for, like, how different they were on the surface. Like, when we first saw them, hey, here's how you do the subtle messaging. Because, it wasn't till the end when she was like, hell, I committed mutiny before I gave the Klingons an inch. It's like, oh yeah, the Klingons murdered her family and occupied, like, her world. And, just a whole bunch of similarities. Like, they're really the same person who's taken 2 very different paths. I mean, even then, no, like, it wasn't even 2 different paths. It's more Burnham is Raynor, but later on in the same journey. Like, Raynor will eventually be similar to Burnham, which would have been an interesting thing to watch. Like, I'm not too upset that Discovery is canceled. I mean, no one is. Harsh but fair. But it's like, there were interesting stuff they could have done if they kept going. And I think there's still plenty of good here that's like, yeah, we've missed out on some stuff since the show has been canceled. And this was a good world-building episode, really. We just get history of this planet, we get history of the Breen, we get, like, history of some Breen invasion into the Federation. This was a really good world-building. This was one, unlike the, episode 5, I think, on the Enterprise, where I'm like, this was one that made it feel like there's really a world going on in the background, as opposed to just, like, this plot-specific details and the surface-level things in this race. Just getting to hear about the other Breen Priarchs, I think they were, and, their own doing stuff. This was a really good world-building episode. This was definitely, I guess I'd have to go check some of the other episodes, but I think this was definitely the strongest one of this season. Not too much to say about here, because Locke and Maul are still just in their containment field. I mean, highlight of the scene. This was tense here, right? This was tense. I love the negotiations. I love the bluff. I was left like, oh, that's how you got the idea. That's how, like, I was wondering what the hell they got from Raynor's speech. And I think it was clever, too. I think it was a clever solution to the problem. It wasn't an easy out. It was an incredibly risky bluff. You know, I mean, everyone's standing there at gunpoint. This is the problem. I don't know how to say it. It was tense. I was gripped. I was loving the negotiations. I felt the sort of like being on the knife's edge. I mean, we know the ship is capable of destroying the Federation, although apparently we're supposed to believe it's not really capable unless you get progenitor tech, except it also is capable, but... Why is the progenitor tech dangerous? No one knows. I don't understand. Take a note from Doctor Who's book. They're bringing gods into the universe. Be like, yeah, I get why Q is dangerous. We'll see. We'll see. We're getting close to actually learning. I'm kind of half expecting that it's, like, actually, like, kind of nothing. Especially nowadays, if it's kind of nothing. It'd be weird if it was nothing and then they hit it. Maybe it was kind of like, you know, by the time we discover this, we'll be ready to learn. It's just the ending of the chase again, which would be boring. But I'll give this episode credit. It's not just the chase. It's not just the chase. They're stretching it out like it kind of is just the chase, especially now that it is literally a race with the Breen. But they're adding a bunch of new stuff. It's not... there's a bunch more on top of it where I think it's unfair to say that it's just the chase but a 10-hour version. Unless the ending is exactly the chase, but that's just the ending, you know. Yeah, look at this. I don't know. I loved it. I loved it. I think it was tense. I think it was great. They didn't break the fourth wall. Yeah, this escape plan felt really weird. I mean, I guess it was desperate to, like, give yourself the day's dose. I'm not surprised Locke died. But classic Starfleet, a dependable, good old, reliable Starfleet. It's been 1,000 years, you know, it's been a millennium. It's been over a millennium, I think. Actually, it's been like 1,100 years of Starfleet as an organization, because they were under Earth originally. But... never change Starfleet, because there's a firm fundamental belief at the core of Starfleet, the core of the Federation, at the core of Earth, that nearly every single problem in the universe can be mitigated by two guys. Now, it usually can't be mitigated by two guys, but every security threat across any show, across anything, two guys. Maybe a Worf. That's the rule. The Q is on the ship. He's claiming to have human powers, but you don't believe him. How many guards does it take to mitigate the threat of Q? Two guys. Just two guys. And watch this. If you've never noticed, two guys. Now, every now and then, right? This is how you know things are serious. Is, every now and then, there will be four guys. And that's, like, beyond Q levels of threat. In fact, if we... I'm gonna be so happy. Where's that wide shot that we just had? I am going to laugh so hard if there are 4 security officers in that wide shot. Hang on, I'm gonna hide the... Okay. So the Breen, you know, they're bringing an army. 1, 2, 3, 4... There might be 4 security guards in this shot. Yes, there are the science and command divisions. Oh, wait, I think that's a head back there. That might make 5. But again, I think the point is a hilariously no amount of guards. Starfleet, never change, never change. I'm not kidding, 2 guards. Every problem, TNG is the most guilty of this. 2 guards, at any problem, it can be solved by 2 guards. It can't be solved by 2 guards, but they sure as hell think it can. Yeah, I also thought it was a bit weird. They found out that this was the library card. This is a library card that's issued by, like, a famous archival book place. Speaking of which, what happened to Memory Alpha? I knew it blew up, but did they not, like, rebuild it? Is this the new Memory Alpha? But anyway, like, in universe, the planet Memory Alpha, not the Wikipedia article. Man, that completely derailed me. They found out, yeah, that's a book library token for a famous archival service that that has like loads of copies of book. The exact sort of place they look for. Zora didn't realize. Why? Do these things look unique for every book? That felt weird. It felt like something Zora could have just realized with Federation databases. Like, hey, this is a metal card with a book that looks exactly like the library cards the archive hands out. Are we gonna have to rename Memory Alpha now? I'll admit, I think Memory Alpha is a better name than the archive. The archive's a little, I don't know. It's a little ancient. It's weird. Memory Alpha. I like it better. Memory 1. Boom. You know what would have been good? Memory Beta. Because Memory Alpha got destroyed if the archive was referred to as Memory Beta, and they put it on a space station so that, like, it's not as threatened by, if a planet blows up or whatever, they can move it. Memory Beta. That would have been better. You could have even had a joke. What happened to Memory Alpha? It blew up. I don't know. Reference the TOS episode. You referenced 7 of 9 anachronistically. Yeah, I mean, it's again just the development. This episode really developed the story. Killing Locke is a big thing for Maul's character. Like, I get the emotion, but I was never really super invested in the two of them anyway. You know, Lol now having her own sort of third agenda that's got nothing to do with really the Breen or the Federation's goals. It's just another rogue element. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting to see how it plays off, how she tries to accomplish her goals. I'd be amazed if the progenitor tech can actually bring back the dead. Maybe because reasons it'll bring back Locke and then nobody else ever again, and it never can. I mean, it's a weird precedent to set for, like, Academy. Or maybe that's why we canceled the show. The producers went, not producers, Paramount went, do you realize you just, like, cured death? So now there's no tension in your show. And I'm not upset that, like, the prior guy came to help either, because he already, like, this is entirely separate from the deal they just struck. It's entirely separate from the bluff. It's like Maul and Locke doing their own thing, and now everybody has a vested interest in keeping this guy alive. Yeah. I was kind of wondering, when they mentioned, though, they were going to try and get an old Breen suit, I was wondering if we'd see the Princess Leia outfit, because I speculated one of the, like, main reasons for the redesign was that Disney would not allow them to just use, like, a Star Wars ripoff, because that's what the Breen looked like in Deep Space. Literally, they were literally Princess Leia. Not even as, like, an accident or like, that's what the designers said. They're like, yeah, we did Princess Leia Bounty Hunter because, you know, like, Star Wars is cool and we're like Star Trek and we're all gonna play nice. This is basically the reason. But yeah, new clue. It's a clue to a library, which is interesting. Because didn't, like, every scientist hide a book? Or hide a clue? Or no, this was the Betazoid guy. We're still going after the same clue. We didn't get a clue last episode? I don't know. This guy actually put some effort in a multi-step clue, this Betazoid guy. But yeah. So I kind of rushed through that one, but also no audience asking questions. Because it now does look like I have somewhere to be, like free garage sale. I would give you the address, but, you know, like, it is my mother's house, so, you know, I'm not going to give you the address of the free yard sale. But, yeah, it was good. And the problem with Discovery, from, like, a review standpoint, is when it's good, there's just really not a lot to talk about. Because it's not really good in the sort of ways that you can really talk about and discuss. There's no theorizing like we're probably going to get for Doctor Who tomorrow. Well, we're definitely going to get Doctor Who theorizing tomorrow. But anyway, I think I will wrap it up there then. Really rushed. Mom texting everyone else right when I start my stream about the garage sale. But yeah. Sorry if it was a bit short. It's Discovery. Honestly, that's kind of the best thing in Discovery ending is these shorter streams should go away. Like, the yard sale didn't even speed us up that much. It's just Discovery's good, and when Discovery's good, I don't have too much to talk about. But Best episode of the season. Hey, it was better than the other 2 Doctor Who episodes I watched. And tomorrow's stream isn't going to be negative. It's going to be, like, I think the 2 releases were good, but this was better. And that was unexpected. And now we're going to have a little competition every week. Who was better this week, Discovery or Doctor Who? Next week's Doctor Who, rather, is Stephen Moffat writing under Russell T Davies, so it's probably going to be Doctor Who. But you never know. You never know. So yes, I will say thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time!